the Apocalypse Express. Jet, a rugged and seasoned mercenary, wiped the sweat from his brow as he peered out the window of the battered helicopter. The landscape below was a desolate wasteland, a graveyard of twisted metal and shattered concrete where the living were few and far between. The once thriving metropolis was now a toxic wasteland, ravaged by the unrelenting hordes of undead that roamed the earth. "Chub, how much longer?" Jet asked, his voice laced with a hint of impatience. Chub, the team's resident tech expert, squinted at the console in front of him. "We're getting close, Jet." The coordinates matched the last known location of Benedict's hideout. Jet's grip on the helicopter's door handle tightened. Benedict, the ruthless warlord, had been a thorn in their side for months, using his army of undead minions to spread terror and despair across the ruins of civilization. Rosie, the pilot, banked the chopper hard to the left, narrowly avoiding a group of shambling corpses that stumbled out of the wreckage of a skyscraper. "Hold on, everyone," she yelled above the din of the rotors. Jet and Chub exchanged a glance, their faces set in grim determination. They had been hired by a mysterious client to take out Benedict and put an end to his reign of terror. The pay was hefty, but the job was far from easy. The helicopter thudded down onto the rooftop of a crumbling high-rise, sending up a cloud of dust and debris. Jet and Chub leapt out, their eyes scanning the perimeter for any signs of danger. "Clear!" Chub called back, his voice muffled by the mask he wore to protect himself from the toxic air. Jet nodded, his hand resting on the grip of his combat knife. "Let's move." They descended into the darkness of the stairwell, their footsteps echoing off the walls as they made their way down to the ground floor. The air was thick with the stench of decay and death. As they reached the lobby, a horde of undead burst through the doors, their eyes fixed on the living. Jet and Chub sprang into action, their training and experience guiding their movements. They carved a path through the shambling masses, their knives slicing through the infected flesh with deadly precision. Rosie landed the helicopter on the rooftop, her eyes scanning the chaos unfolding below. She knew her role was crucial, providing cover and extraction for Jet and Chub. She banked the chopper hard to the right, sending the rotors whipping through the air as she prepared to pull out. Benedict emerged from the shadows, his eyes blazing with malevolent intensity. "Fools," he spat, his voice dripping with contempt. "You'll never take me alive." Jet and Chub paused, their attention focused on the warlord. Chub's eyes flicked to the console at his belt, where a small screen displayed a thermal image of the area. "Jet, we've got a heat signature coming from the next room. Looks like Benedict's got a plan." Jet nodded, his grip tightening on his knife. "Let's go see what it is." They burst into the next room, finding themselves in a makeshift laboratory. Benedict stood at the far end, surrounded by his loyal followers, a group of heavily armed and mutated zombies, their bodies twisted and deformed by some unknown virus. "Benedict, you're a monster," Jet spat, his eyes locked on the warlord. Benedict sneered. "I'm the only one who's managed to survive in this new world. And I'll do whatever it takes to keep it that way." Rosie swooped in, the helicopter's rotors creating a whirlwind that sent the undead minions stumbling. Jet and Chub charged forward, their knives flashing in the dim light. The battle was intense, the three of them fighting for their lives against impossible odds. But they were a well-oiled machine, each one knowing their role and executing it with precision. In the end, it was Jet who struck the final blow, his knife plunging deep into Benedict's chest. The warlord's eyes widened in shock as he stumbled back, his followers faltering without their leader. The three of them stood panting, their chests heaving with exhaustion. Rosie killed the engine, the helicopter settling into silence. "Well, that's one problem solved," Chub said, wiping the sweat from his brow. Jet nodded, his gaze sweeping the ruins. "There are always more problems waiting in the wings. But we'll be ready." The three of them shared a nod, their bond forged in the fire of battle. They knew that in a world gone mad, They were the only ones who could bring hope to the desperate and the dying. As they climbed back into the helicopter, Rosie revving the engine, Jet turned to his companions. "Let's get out of here. We've got a long way to go before the sun sets." Chub grinned, his eyes glinting with a mixture of exhaustion and elation. "Time to find the next job, partner." The helicopter lifted off, leaving the ruins of the city behind, bound for the unknown dangers that lay ahead. But with Jet, Chub, and Rosie at the controls, the undead would have to be ready for a fight.